It's so wonderful to have such gifted and dedicated people sharing their gifts with this congregation, isn't it? So I want to share a reading this morning, and it's entitled Beacons. Beloveds, we were never meant to hide in closets. And we were never to be spoken of in whispered corners by a world filled with others afraid of their own reflections. We are from the flame of Channing's truth, Olympia Brown's relentlessness, Lou Alcott's defiance of societal expectations, and Thoreau's solitude of freedom, freedom of solitude. We are here, heirs of a theology that says love is love. The soul is not gendered, that covenants live in hearts, not courtrooms. Laws can be cruel and narrow, but our faith remains wide, widening still more until every child hears their pronouns in liturgies. And every parent of every trans child hears their entire congregation reflect back, you are not alone in the face of their fears. We have always been here, from pulpits to picket lines, from the ancestors you called heretics to our kitchen tables where we sat with chosen families, speaking our truths into becoming real. This world may pass bans, overturn laws, rewrite constitutions, threaten us, but our marriages were holy before they were licensed, and our identities were sacred before we had names. Today, again, and every day, bless those coming out and those staying in. Bless the drag, bless the transitioning, bless the questioning, bless the kinfolk, bless our chosen families, and bless us because we have faced ourselves, loved ourselves, seen ourselves, and we declare we are beauty and goodness and unicorns with a bit of rainbow and a lot of heart. We gather now in the wake of their efforts to erase as a sign that we are not so easy to erase, and knowing that we are literally love becoming. We were never meant to hide. We were always meant to blaze. By Kimi Floyd Reisch. A week or two into one of my ministries, I'm in a conversation with a congregant. I don't even remember how it started, but probably I said something about my own commitment to social justice and immigration justice, and this congregant says to me, anyway, you know, we really don't have any Hispanics in this area. This takes me aback for a moment, because honestly, we are everywhere. It's too early in the ministry for me to ask him if he's really looked. Has he bothered to see? But I think to myself, you must not have walked past the elementary school in this area, because you know what? The playground is full of my Latinx siblings. You must not really have paid attention to the landscape workers in your neighborhood, because they too are largely Latinx siblings. Not to mention the glamorous jobs of being a busboy or being a hotel maid. I realize in that moment how frighteningly easy it is especially for those of us who carry the privilege of pale skin and the privilege of education and perhaps the privilege of enough always to eat every day and wealth and other things that grant us privilege, how easy it is to simply not see, to simply erase entire communities, entire continents. Sometimes I tell myself, we don't really mean harm. And sometimes I tell myself, but really, it's a way to stay comfortable, isn't it? Anything that might cause a question to come up, it's easier to not see it. Beloveds, love resists the turning away. Love resists our urge to erase one another. Love expands our capacity not just to look, but to see. Love expands our capacity to pay attention to what we see. Yesterday morning, after spending way too much time trying to figure out how to get my mountain of trash from my third floor apartment to the trash chute in the courtyard, I come up with, I believe, is a extremely brilliant idea. So I put it into practice. I take my granny cart, which is currently and forever will be one of my favorite possessions. I fill it with my trash bags. I have some actually incredibly cute ties that, what is this stuff? Velcro ties. I think, I will just Velcro the granny cart to the front of my walker and I'll drive this trash train down to the chute. So proud of myself. I implement this and I start my way down the hall. By the time I'm halfway down in the elevator, I realized this was indeed far from a very brilliant idea. For one thing, this trash train is unbelievably difficult to steer and requires contortions that I've probably never been able to do. And number two, those delightfully cute Velcro ties are not up to the job. I come out of the elevator and there are two young people, clearly a couple, and they each have a dog. They say good morning, I say good morning. And as I hobble along, I'm not gonna lie, feeling kind of sorry for myself and dumb for having embarked on this. I was committed, I wasn't gonna go back to the apartment at that point. I'm hoping to myself, maybe one of them will say, hey, you cute old lady, do you want some help? Hope sometimes, well, anyway. So they not only do not offer help, I hear them soothing their dogs by saying, hey, it's okay, guys, she's leaving. Can you say salty? Salty I am. I go down the ramp. If I was feeling sorry for myself before, I'm feeling sorry for myself and annoyed. That's putting it really politely because we are in church. 3 or 4 more people pass me as I'm going down the hallway and, pushing the thing to get the doors open, and I'm making my way out to the, to the courtyard where the trash chute is. Now, it could be my imagination and it could be I'm biased, but it seems to me that they all avert their eyes and start walking more quickly as they pass me. Could be me. I get outside, I get my trash bags in the chute. I feel like, Superwoman, but tired and still annoyed. And I say, okay, now I just have to get myself, my walker, and my granny cart to the car. Okay, clunk, clunk, clunk. And then I hear this voice, hey, hon, do you need help? And a young man comes up to me. He tells me his name is Nico. He says he's got plenty of time. He's headed to work, but he's early. Can I help you? I said, oh, absolutely. Could you help me get myself and all this stuff to my car, please? And I point out where my car is. He says, sure. And we're chatting away and talking about what a beautiful day is. And we get to my car, and he's about ready to put all the stuff in for me. And he bends over and picks something up from the tarmac. It's a beautiful seashell, he says. Would you like to have it? I'm ready to say no, and then I look at it and I look at him and I say, yes, please, Nico, I'd really like to keep it because I want to remember your kindness to me today. And he says, you're welcome, hon. Drive safely and have a great day. It was really nice meeting you, I say. He says, it was really nice meeting you. Love resists the urge to hasten our pace and turn our eyes when a stranger is in trouble. It may not be part of our natural history to help one another, it may, but love resists that thing that says, not my problem. Love fills us with the ability and the willingness to reach out to someone we've never met before. Dr. Aziz Rahman is a board-certified interventional radiologist, a specialty I've never heard of, but I got to learn more about yesterday. He was born and grew up in Massachusetts. He now lives in Milwaukee and practices medicine at a hospital in Milwaukee. But earlier, in the very early summer, he joined a group of doctors through an organization I'll speak more about at another time, to volunteer his services in Gaza. Yesterday, at one of our sister congregations in the Boston area, he came to share his experiences, to talk about what he had seen during those days and weeks of his caring for patients in Gaza. He said, I am not here to try to tell you about my politics. I am not here to place blame or to say anything other than just share with you what I saw. He says, I have stories of horror and I have stories of hope. But the one thing my patients all asked me to do when I was to come back to the United States was to share their stories. Tell them, please tell them, we are human, they said. They did not ask for supplies or food or money to be sent. They said, we want them to know we are human. The announcement that he was going to speak was met, as you might imagine, with a tremendous amount of community anger and protest. One of the things that people were protesting was that the event was being held on the Sabbath. That was one of the first things he addressed. He said, I want to really apologize for the fact that this is being held. And these are the other times when I will be speaking on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday before I go back to Milwaukee. And please, I invite you to come. Also, there will be a recording of this talk, and I will share it with you. And I'm actually going to receive a copy if any of you would like to watch it again with me. Dr. Rahman describes He's at Nasser Hospital, the one pretty much as much of a fully functioning hospital as exists. And he describes walking upstairs behind doctors and nurses who live like everybody else in these tent city camps and seeing them faint from hunger. They share their food with those who have less than they do, and there's not enough, nearly enough for everybody. He describes the lack of clean water. He describes having to use over and over again certain kinds of medical instruments that would ordinarily be tossed in another place. He describes the sorrow of how few can be saved. There is one functioning CAT scan machine in Gaza that's several years old, outdated, and it's in service 24 hours a day. He describes bomb attacks every 30 minutes. And he says, I know this is hard and I'm really sorry. I don't want to cause anybody pain. I want to simply share what I saw. He shows us slides of a young boy who came in with a gunshot wound, and the boy has recovered, and he and the doctor have their arms around each other with big smiles on their faces. He describes the hope and the kindness of the people he treats and the families who do so much for one another. Today's edition of Israel's longest-running daily newspaper, Haaretz, describes on its front page two things of relevance. A statistic that yesterday 678 folks lost their lives in Gaza, and that the famine that was announced, I think 2 or 3 days ago, if I'm not wrong, is in fact very much a real situation. This is available online. It's free. Don't take my word for it. And be prepared, if you do want to look at it, for some very, very, very difficult things to see. Dr. Rahman explains something I never really understood, what a famine is. It is not simply hunger, it is that point where the body could no longer process food. At that point, food will only cause more damage. He says there's a protocol called refeeding, and it's not likely that enough will arrive in time for the people who need it. The public health authority connects with all the doctors who are coming from outside to volunteer and gives them lists of things. Please, if you can, smuggle these things in your luggage. He shows us pictures of their luggage, packets of tuna, baby formula, some small medical items, suitcases with no clothing, but lots and lots of supplies. When the doctors get to the border, they don't even know if they're going to be allowed in. This group is allowed in. At the end of his talk, for the first time, the scientist who has reported faithfully and dispassionately, his voice breaks. And he says, I came home to my family physically, but my heart is still there, and I hope to go back. As we leave the talk, there are folks outside, and they hold signs with the pictures of all those taken hostage by Hamas terrorists roughly 2 years ago. They hold signs that tell of the pain and trauma. They have called the church and talked about how anti-Semitism in schools, which has been in the newspapers of the area, anti-Semitism in the schools in the Boston area is against children is skyrocketing. How can a church hold an event like this in a space where this is happening? And it is, and it's horrendous. So much trauma, so much suffering. But love resists silence. Love speaks truth to power. Love does not demand to take sides, saying this side is right, that side is wrong. Love simply approaches the people in need, whoever and wherever they are, with open eyes and open hearts and open hands. Love resists assigning blame. Love resists discrimination. Love resists easy answers because, so help me, I don't know of anything that has an easy answer. Even getting my trash down to the trash chute does not have an easy answer, much less a horrific conflict that has spanned so many decades. We are all responsible, says Dr. Rahman. He has written letters to his children during his time in Gaza, and he tells us that he doesn't know what to tell his children because he knows there's a chance he won't come home. But love resists silence, and love never ends. Love is infinite. And Dr. Rahman will return to Nasser Hospital when he can. My colleague has invited me to join them for this talk. My colleague wants the support of another Unitarian Universalist minister should anything happen, any disturbance happen. My colleague wants to know that they are not alone, and I'm so glad to be asked. I'm so glad to serve one of my fellow ministers and to be there, not only to hear, but to be there with them. My colleague has created a whole folder for angry people, and it has broken her heart. And I am reminded of the time in the early 19th century from when Frederick Douglass sought to speak with his band of abolitionists at churches throughout New England, and how often he was turned down. And even when a Unitarian church would accept him to speak, how the speakers, including him, would be hit with rocks when they would be beaten for speaking a message that was deemed to be unpatriotic, for telling the truth from the mouths of a former enslaved person, what that was like. I say to you again, love speaks truth to power, no matter what the cost. In her beautiful writing, the activist for African Americans and feminist Bell Hooks teaches us to practice what she calls an ethic of love. To hold, as we do as Unitarian Universalists, in that whole flower of our principles and our theology and the ways in which we seek to be in the world, to put love at the center and practice the spiritual practice of living and behaving from that place. The opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference. The ethic of love resists always the easy way out. Amen, beloveds. Ashe, and blessed be.